On today's show, which Mavericks players will we think the most differently by the end of the season? Who's going to be a breakout candidate? And more, we'll talk about that on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks.
How about 10 Mavericks? NBA champions. Bang! It's good!
And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section, what player do you think will make us think differently of them by the end of the season? Let us know.
Ooh.
Joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, contributor, Mavs.com, Studio 41, forever and always. One more thing, King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Preseason game tomorrow. Detroit Pistons, Dallas Mavericks. You get some Mavs basketball tomorrow. Feels like it's been a while.
Wow. Tomorrow.
Yeah. Right?
If you're listening to this on Thursday, that is true.
Yeah.
Luka, we already know Luka Doncic won't play in that game. We'll see what happens. The Mavericks do practice on Thursday, so I'm sure we'll find out more. Subscribe to our subtext if you want the alerts right up to your phone. You get them texted straight to you and all that. I'll also do a breakdown of one of the quarters of the preseason game and send it to you on the text as well. So, yeah, the Mavericks do play a game.
Nick posted a video of Tyson Chandler doing some post-ups the other day, doing a little hook shot.
He could still get buckets if he wanted to.
He might be able to start for this team.
Everyone's comparing Dereck Lively to Tyson Chandler. We've got the real deal, the original, in the building right now.
Has anyone compared Tyson to Lively?
Wow. You just broke my brain. You just broke my brain doing that.
So, Tyson, I think you're kind of like an older Dereck Lively.
You're Dereck Lively without a three-point shot. Now, could you add that to your game?
You're Lively with Social Security.
He's only like in his 40s. So today, though, I want to talk about players that we will think differently of by the end of the season. Like, who do you so you've got an opinion on a player right now. We think X about Luka Doncic. By the end of the season, we'll think Y. We'll think a different thing about Luka Doncic and go through all the Mavericks players in that regard. So let's start with Luka Doncic.
Okay.
How will we think differently about Luka Doncic by the end of the season? How could we possibly?
All right, you go first.
I think with Luka Doncic, there's a chance by the end of the season, because right now we're coming in, and this is the first time in 4 years that he hasn't been the number one MVP candidate, like the number one in odds for MVP by the end of the season, where people like Bill Simmons and others are turning on Luka. All of a sudden, the arc in his star is starting to turn, where people are turning on him. There's expectations on him now. I missed the postseason last year, huge deal. And like all of a sudden there's starting to be a ton of negativity, a lot of hate. There's all the hate about his complaining to the refs and getting kicked out of that FIBA game and all that and his weight. But for D Magazine, Brian Damaris wrote a piece and said Luka came in weighing the lowest number he's weighed since he came into the league. So that's huge. We already know that the conditioning's been better for him. And we hope that his complaining to the ref will be better. He says he's trying. Grant Williams is also going to be there, and I think he's going to help with that a lot. We've also got a year of Kyrie Irving to see if that relationship helps him. Kyrie said he wants to be a leader on and off the court. Hopefully that helps with Luka and his complaining to the refs. And maybe by the end of the season, we could have a Luka, all right, he's ascended now. He's doing what Jokic and Giannis did the last couple of years, where we went from, all right, well, he is top 5, but like, I hate the style of play that he plays. He can't win. And like, I feel like that's where we are with Luka right now. Amazing player, but he could take the but out of that sentence by the end of the season.
Oh, really?
Yep.
For this one, I was trying to focus on like, all right, I don't think the ref stuff is changing. So
he said he's trying though.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
He also said sometimes he can't do anything about it.
Yeah, I just don't think we're going to be at the end of the season saying, you know what, it's really cool how he stopped complaining and he stopped to the refs. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that stays the same. So for me, it was debate on like the conditioning stuff versus the making it work with Kyrie stuff. And I think that's the level of it. I think we're going to see Luka go above and beyond to make it work with another primary ball handler, and to see him play off ball more, willingly play off ball more, to see just him make some slight changes to make it work. And it's not just a, hey, when Luka's on the floor, this is what we play. When Luka's off the floor, then it's Kyrie's turn. And it's not just this like his turn, my turn. I think we're going to see a little shift. And I think that's what we'll learn about Luka the most, or not learn.
How he will change opinions and how he will
change. How our opinion.
Yeah, the style of play is huge for him, because we talked about that a lot this offseason, about his style of play, the pace of the play, wanting to speed it up a little bit more. And we saw in FIBA, he's willing to push the pace. He's willing to kick ahead. He's willing to throw those outlet passes when he gets the rebound. And he gets a bunch of rebounds for the Mavericks. He's their best rebounder as of right now. He is still. And so maybe that's something that'll change. That he seems inflexible now with his style of play, right? Because he hasn't had anybody next to him. But now with Kyrie, maybe that will change a little bit. We just haven't seen enough in preseason to know if that will be the case in any way or not. But yeah, that's something that we could change, that an opinion could change about Luka too.
Yeah. With
Kyrie Irving, I think this is easy. With Kyrie, well, do we want to do the negative with Luka? No, I'm skipping it. With Kyrie Irving, I think an opinion that could change is, what if Kyrie goes through the whole year with no off the court anything and stays in, is in Dallas, plays the whole season out, and then it looks like he's coming back next year, and like all of a sudden Kyrie looks like a stable star next to Luka, right? Like that would be a way to change opinions a lot and change people's opinions, because we've talked about Kyrie as a flight risk. He's asked for trades in the past, just asked for one from the Nets. We've seen him as a player that, misses games for, the COVID, for not wanting the COVID vaccine, for not, for being injured. But then, we've seen him as this just unstable star, basically. And if he can get through the whole season this year and bring stability to the Mavericks, then that would do a lot for his reputation and for him as a player and for, his career, I think.
Yeah, I think the opinion part of it for not just, I would say like us, but I think some of the outside stuff is, I think his loyalty to Dallas. I still think there's a decent amount of people out there that thinks, all right, he signed the contract and he's just going to force his way to the Lakers or somebody else,
right.
Come this, whatever trade deadline or whatever. I think he's going to change some opinions that he's going to fully, he's going to fully convince a lot of people that, hey, this is kind of like where I want to settle down, where I want to play. They believed in me. They gave me the contract.
Which is he was drafted here.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been welcomed here. All the stuff. And I think that's going to be like really evident this season. And he's going to make it really evident this season. And I don't think there's going to be like a trade request and all that. Hopefully this isn't clipped, and laughed in my face in a few months.
We're saying what could happen. You're not making a prediction on it, but.
And I think that would honestly change some people's minds of like, all right, he's requested some trades. He's forced his way out some play. Like, is he really in on Dallas, or is this just a pit stop before he gets to LA again? Shout out Wendy. And I think that would change some opinions if he's, showing his loyalty to Dallas this season.
Yeah. And seeing that he's satisfied here and that he, wants to take a new step in his career and wants to be that second star again, because there was that thing after he won the title with LeBron. I want to be the star. I want to be the guy. Right. And then he goes and he does that in Boston. And then he goes to Brooklyn, and him and KD are like together. It's us. It's like, we don't even have a coach. We're all the coach. I'm the coach. It's like, that's what he wanted to do then. And so now I think he could settle back into, I'm the second star, which he did last year. I mean, we didn't see any kind of struggle between Luka and Kyrie. He knew that it's Luka's team. Didn't see any struggle with that. And we've seen him respect Jason Kidd as the coach because he was his favorite player growing up, So I think that part of it could be changed. And I'm interested to see how that will happen. Coming up, how will our opinion change about Grant Williams, Josh Green, Jaden Hardy? And then we'll get into the rookies a little bit later. What could change about our opinions about those players this season? We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Jace Medical. Jace solved the problem that I just didn't know I was going to have. There's so many different things in life that there's uncertainty in the world. There's all kinds of things that could happen. Let's say that you're traveling and you can't get to, the medical care that you need. you've got diarrhea. You've got traveler's diarrhea. Literally says it. I've got it right here. I've got it in the book. You get traveler's diarrhea. It says it in the book. You can take this certain antibiotic that Jace will provide for you. You get 5 essential antibiotics that will treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. You get it in this nice little Jace case that you can carry with you. You've got the booklet that'll help you and tell you when and how much to use it so that it's all safe. Also, they've got Chase providers that will help you to know, with ongoing care and things like that. So you know that Jace has you covered with that. You want the peace of mind. You'll want to know that you have yourself covered for something like that. It's something that I had never even thought about in my life. And now that I have the Jace case, I'm glad that I have the peace of mind to do that. So go to jacemedical.com, enter the code LOCKEDON, and at checkout, you get a $20 discount on your order. Promo code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, all caps, one word, jacemedical.com, JASE medical.com. They also offer gift cards now for your family or loved ones, so you can get them a Jace case of their own or a gift card. They also have all kinds of other things too. Check out their Jace Daily, all kinds of other things. They offer custom mobility for your Jace case with dozens of add-on medications. You can choose the medication that fits you and your family's unique needs. You also take a survey so you know that the medications that you're getting are right for you. Go check it out. Again, jacemedical.com, promo code locked on.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. If you want to support the show, text us, get text alerts from us on Mavs Rumors, watch film with us, and more. Subscribe to the subtext that I talked about earlier. Click the link in the description. You'll get text straight to your phone from me. All right, Isaac. Which players do you think we will think differently of by the end of the season? Who will break out? Who will be a candidate to, change our minds on them by the end of the season? What about Grant Williams?
I got a prediction for Grant Williams. I think Grant Williams is going to be in the 3-point shootout.
Wow.
All-Star weekend. I think he's going to change. I don't want to say change because he's already a good 3-point shooter and people know that, but I think he's going to move up a notch in a lot of people's minds and their opinions of, hey, he's one of the best 3-and-D guys in the league. He had some DNP-CDs for Boston in the playoffs, all of that. I believe in a shot. I think he's going to get a ton of them. And especially if he hovers around that, he shot 40% last year. If he shoots above 40% again, he's taking 7 or 8 threes a game on this Dallas team. People are going to notice that. And that's like a weird prediction I have is he's in the 3-point shootout.
Yeah, I think Grant Williams, we look at him now and the way that we're predicting his season to go, we're like, all right, he's going to be this star role player for the Mavericks in the sense that I said star role player. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, Dorian Finney-Smith was a star role player for the Mavericks, right?
Okay.
Not like a star player, but a star role player where they stand out. It's okay, this is a high end level rotation player for the Mavericks. He's coming in and he was, like you said, not getting played in some playoff games for the Celtics. And now he comes in and I think he's exactly what this team needs. He's got the vocal leadership he's going to bring to this team. We've already seen it at the end of practice, him trying to get everybody to sit up and be like, all right, let's do this, guys. We cannot let up at any point because if we want to actually win in this league, you can't let up at any point. And I think defensively, he's going to help there. Like you said, his 3-point shooting, he's going to get a ton more open shots than he got before. His defense will be there, and they're going to need him on that end. And so I think by the end, people will look at him as a high-end role player, like a star role player, for the team where you're like, man, how did the Celtics let that guy go? It's one of those kind of things.
Yeah, for a cheap price too.
Yeah, that contract may look like one of the best ones by the end of the season.
Yeah.
That's how we could change our mind on him. Josh Green. This is one that a lot of people are on. I think The Athletic had him as one of their breakout players, a guy that could really break out.
Oh, really? I
didn't
see that.
Yeah, he's on the front. He's on the front of The Athletic right now. Go to The Athletic NBA, and then their staff wrote every team's biggest breakout candidate, and Josh Green is on the front cover there.
What if Jason Kidd believes that?
We'll see. I think people could really change their mind on Josh Green because he's got to come in. He can hit, he shot 40% from 3 last year. If his defense is really good and also his passing makes this offense work a little bit better, then all of a sudden you're looking at him as, he's a high level role player too.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see what happens with him. His deadline's coming up pretty soon next week with the extension stuff. I haven't heard anything recently about that. I haven't asked around either.
Can I do it?
Oh. Hello.
Can I do a little conspiracy?
Yes,
If
conspiracy.
they extend him, they can't trade him this year. Are we doing the Brunson thing all over again?
Possibly.
He's a restricted free agent, so it's different than the Brunson situation in that he'll be restricted by the end of the year. Also, we just saw PJ Washington go through a restricted free agency and kind of get like almost no interest. So I think that the Mavericks are willing to roll the dice on this one more. And yeah, they can't trade him for a year, so I wonder if they're not going to extend him because they may want to trade him during the year.
Yeah, and if you're not going to, we don't know the extent of any trade talks outside of, some stuff that's been reported, but it's like, hey, if you're not going to include him in a trade for like a Capella, it seems like, all right, cool. You value him. I'm kind of confused, but I've seen some, stuff about the Derrick Jones Jr. starting stuff. And I'm like,
yeah, Mark Stein said that.
I don't really understand like what you're doing with Josh at that point. If like you have Josh Green and then you bring in, you sign a guy for a minimum contract and now you're going to start him over Josh Green. And
I kind of get it. Like if I squint, because I think Derrick Jones Jr. would be like a spot starter and you need Josh to come off the bench and make that like second unit work. Cause they don't really have creators off the bench really. And Josh could maybe come in as one of those creators where you have if you're starting, you have Luka and Kyrie. So you don't need Josh Green, like ball creation, offense type stuff. And in the first 7 minutes of the game or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever want Josh Green running the point. So,
but being that secondary creator, right? Because so when Kyrie goes to the bench, it's Luka and Josh Green doing that instead of Luka by himself, with no one else. So I think like they see him as that secondary creator type guy. That
and I get his like I like his. I'm sure we'll talk about Exum in a little bit, but I like his combination with Exum off the bench. I think that's a lot of fun defensively and stuff in the backcourt. But it just feels like this natural progression and this guy should be is taking these steps. It's like, all right, your next progression is to like be in the starting lineup where we need a defensive wing to guard these other like point of attack guys. And it feels kind of weird to be like, yeah, you haven't really proven that. So you're going to come off the bench, again, while we're still working out extension numbers and all that. So I don't know. I honestly don't have an answer for Josh, because if you told me, hey, they're committing to starting Josh and he's playing 25 to 28 minutes a night, like he's had a great camp, they're excited about this season and there's a lot of buzz, then I'm like, all right, he's gonna have a big time year. But like right now, I don't know what type of role. Like if you told me he came off the bench and played 15 minutes one night, okay, I'm not shocked. But if you told me he started and played 30 minutes one night, I wouldn't be shocked either. So I'm kind of, it's hard for me to pick how the opinion is going to change about him.
I think he'll start. I think he'll start. I think
he should start. Yeah.
I think some of this has just honestly been for contract reasons, and I think that they're looking at an extension, and I think that he'll start. He's the best candidate for it, right? Like there is. You could try the Derrick Jones Jr. thing. Then all of a sudden your spacing is kind of weird with Lively and Derrick Jones Jr. Like that's not really good spacing right away. So yeah, no, I'm with you on it. I tried to squint and see what it would be like. I'm like, okay, it just really doesn't make any sense. Although Derrick Jones Jr. was one of the last players in practice the other day working on his 3-point shot, and his 3-point percentage has gone up, but it's only gone up to 33. So
we interviewed him on media day and asked him what do you think your role is going to be on the team? And he looked at us and said, I want to defend, I'm going to defend the best other guys, other team's best player.
Say it like he said it.
I'm going to defend the other team's best player.
Yeah, I want to defend the other team's best player.
So I'm going to start streaming on Twitch. And
I want to see him stream on Twitch.
I do.
I don't know if I'll be able to hear him, but I'll definitely be able to watch him on it. Yeah, so let's do Derrick Jones Jr. right now. I think by the end of the season, we could look at Derrick Jones Jr. as a guaranteed rotation player and be like, oh man, they needed this guy. And he could help with their transition too. Like, how they need to push the ball in transition, that all of a sudden we could look at him as a release valve that the Mavericks really needed.
Yeah, I'm fascinated. I feel like you almost have to pick Jones or Omax. And I feel like you're probably more in the Jones camp and I'm more of the Omax camp for as far as as the season goes along. I think Derrick Jones probably has the edge right now, but I think as the season goes along, I think it's Omax wins that out. So for Jones, I think the best case scenario is he really excels in that. All right, I'm going to be one of the main wings on this team. guard the other guy. He finds a home in Dallas, and it's the 3-point shot starts going down from Luka and stuff, pass from Luka. So, but I still don't think I don't think that there's like, hey, Derrick Jones is one of the best 3-and-D guys in the league by the end of the year.
You know what could happen though with him though? We've seen this with role players like this in the past. He comes in last year for Chicago. He shot 34% from 3, took 1.3 a game. The year before, 33% at 1.2 a game. What if he comes in and takes like 3 a game and shoots like 36, 37%? Because they're all gonna be super wide open. And then all of a sudden people are like, man, like this Derrick Jones Jr. guy, maybe we should sign. Like he could be a 3-and-D guy because Luka's gonna make you look like a good 3-point shooter because he's just gonna get you so many wide open ones.
Yeah.
Like he could change a lot of opinions with that shot, and he's an unrestricted free agent next year. Like they only signed him for the minimum, so it's not like Mavericks have any control over that. He could get a big contract if he does that.
See, I like him as a small ball 5 too. Like they've
They've
kids
got a bunch of
him,
options like that.
Yeah, kids mention him as the roller, and stuff. So like instead of Grant being the small ball 5, Grant stays at the 4, and it's Derrick Jones at the small ball 5 spot, and he's rolling with Luka, shooters around. You can lob it up to Jones. So there's a lot of intriguing stuff with where he can play at, but yeah, we'll see.
They've got a lot of small ball 5 options. Derrick Jones Jr., Maxey, Grant Williams, like you mentioned, Dwight Powell. Like they've got a bunch of small ball 5 options they can use.
I love how you threw Dwight in there.
Coming up, let's talk about Dereck Lively, Omax Prosper, Dante Exum, and more. How will our opinions change about
Dwight
them
Powell
by the end of the season? Like how you threw that in there. Talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about FanDuel. Snap into action this NFL season, NBA season starting soon too. FanDuel.com/lockedon. New customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Luka Doncic, we talked about him for MVP. Right now, plus 550 for MVP. Put down $10 on Luka, or put down the $5 for Luka to win MVP, and you could win like, let's see, you'd win $55 if you put down $10 on him if he won by the end of the season. Hey, you just quadrupled your money right there, and you could use the bonus bets on it to put even more on him. And if you put all the $200 on Luka, you'd win $1,100. $1,000 that you could win on Luka if he wins MVP just by putting that bonus money down that FanDuel is going to give you. So use that, FanDuel.com/lockedon. They've got all kinds of other stuff too, not just NBA. It's got WNBA, which is over now. Congrats to the Aces. They were inevitable. I clicked the WNBA page. It literally says 404 error, page not found.
Wow.
Because the season's done. So check it out. Again, FanDuel.com/lockedon.
I don't always tell you guys the truth.
All right, Isaac, we're talking about how our opinions could change for different players on the Mavericks by the end of the season. We talked about Luka, Kyrie, Grant Williams, Josh Green, Jaden Hardy. Or let's talk about Jaden Hardy. He could take the leap this year.
Yes, he could.
Or he could not be in the rotation at all.
Yes. I'm just higher on other people on the roster right now. And so I don't want to like sit here and come across as like negative Nancy about Jaden. They haven't traded Tim. I'm unsure about how many minutes he's going to get.
No.
And I'm just kind of scared of like year 2 Hardy. I feel like he needs playing time in order for him to like break out and take a leap, and for that opinion to be, oh, Jaden Hardy's the next Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
Then I think that like role needed to be like clearly defined. And it's just like some of the moves that they've made and haven't made hasn't really shown me that they believe that. Like bringing in Seth Curry, not trading Tim yet. Like it just feels like if they fully believe that, hey, he's going to run the second unit, be a Jordan Clarkson, Jordan Poole, come off the bench and be a flamethrower, then I feel like that role would just be clearly there. And I just don't see it. So I don't think the opinion's going to change about him much, honestly.
I'll go the opposite way of that. First of all, they didn't have an option with Seth Curry. If Seth Curry wants to come back to Dallas, he comes back to Dallas. This is the third time.
Whenever he wants.
They really don't have an option. It just happens. I'll go the opposite with Hardy. He's got all this in front of him. he could break out and all of a sudden leave no doubt that he's the sixth man or he should be the guy coming in. And
he needs opportunity to break out, though. Are we sure he's going to get it?
He'll get it sparingly. He'll get it here. There'll be an injury. There'll be somebody out. Like, it'll happen, or a guy will miss a game. If Luka or Kyrie miss a game, he's got to play because they got to have scoring from somewhere, like somebody that can create their own shot in some way. And they don't have many. They don't have many guys like that.
That's where it's like, I feel like Luka or Kyrie doesn't play, and Jaden plays like 27 minutes.
Or Jason Kidd does the weird thing where he starts him. You know what I mean? Like he's third string, and then all of a sudden, if one of those guys are out, he wants to keep the rotation intact and just plays Hardy in those minutes instead. He's done that with centers and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Hardy could be an interesting one. I still think he'll take the leap in year 3. We could also see him in the G League again this year.
I was going to say, if there's a player that I think the opinions go to opposite on, I think it's kind of Jaden.
Gonna opposite on? You mean like it's gonna fall?
I do, and it's some of it's just like team role and what I just think he needs a clear opportunity to, if he's going to break out, to do that, and I think it's just gonna be harder for him in like these spot moments.
Dereck Lively II. Right now, we're looking at him as the savior of the Mavericks center spot. That's one that could go bad too. I mean, we could look at him by the end and say, man, he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready for that moment, or we could say, man, was he ready for this spot? And he's Walker Kessler last year, and all of a sudden we've got the answer at center. I mean, I feel like the opinion won't change too much because how much more can he do than that?
Yeah, I know. I think I just based off like what is the opinion about him right now. I think a lot of national people will look in and be like, all right, you're going to start a good team is going to start a rookie as their starting center, and he didn't have the best of seasons at Duke, but if you go back a couple years ago, he's one of the best players in high school. So I think the opinions about it is going to be, I think it's going to be more about, hey, is he one of those like system college players to where, do we overlook it? Do we think about it too much to where he was this awesome talent in high school, one of the best players in his class, and then he goes to Duke and he plays in this system. It kind of like, not really hampers him, but like puts him in a box a little bit. And now, back to high school, like the number one prospect, like we've seen before. And I think that could change some people's minds of, maybe he's one of the best people in this class, and we just really overthought it.
Yeah.
Or it could be the other way around.
There's not many spots he could jump up to, but you look at some of these guys, like Jet Howard was at 11 before him. And, who else? The Magic took one more guy. Oh, Anthony Black. Like they're not really even in the rotation for the Magic right now. Like we could look back and be like, man, somebody should have taken Dereck Lively. Look at the Thompson twins. Maybe their shot doesn't come along. Casey Wallace, maybe he doesn't play as much in OKC as we think. Taylor Hendricks, maybe he gets pushed out of the rotation because of all the fours they have in Utah. And all of a sudden we're looking at Lively like, man, he should have been like a top 7, top 6 pick.
Yeah.
I mean, that could happen by the end of the year.
Can we talk about Exum? Because I think
I wanted to do Omax
to
do the rookie, and then we'll do Exum. With Omax, I feel like the opinion is low on him right now. Right?
Yeah.
I feel like the opinion overall has dipped. I think we were excited for him. I think we were excited for what he could be, and then all of a sudden he didn't look super ready in the 3 preseason games we've seen him in. And I think the opinion could change a lot. I think in like 2 months, I think he could be back to where we thought he was going to be. Because I think he just needs time to adjust. I mean, I don't think that's unfair.
See, the difference between I think him and Hardy is I think he's going to get opportunity to like change that opinion, like change, which, I mean, I guess if you're really in that camp to where your opinion drastically changed after 3 preseason games, then sure. But it's like, I just think that there's a clear spot. I've been in this camp the whole time that I think there's a clear spot for him to play off the bench because they need his body out there as his bigger wing defender. So I don't think he's making an all rookie team. I don't think we're after year 1, we're saying, dude, he's one of the best wing defenders, 3-and-D guys in the league. Yeah. But I think you're going to look at it and be like, he's a building piece. Like, I think he's going to, and because I think for some Mavs fans right now that really overvalue preseason, they're like, dude, just stash him in the G League. He's never going to play. And I think he's more than that.
I think I've seen that tweet. I think I've literally seen that tweet. Just stash him in the G League. He's never going to play. About Omax. So the thing that you said about Omax is that think about his competition for minutes, right? Like you got Grant and Josh that are probably going to be the starters. And then after that, it's him and Derrick Jones Jr. as like your big-ish wings that can guard on the perimeter. Maybe Exum fits into that a little bit. And maybe Tim as like a wing, getting wing minutes. But you think about Hardy and his competition. It's Tim, it's Seth Curry, it's Exum, plus Luka and Kyrie. That's like, as the starters. And so that he's got way less competition than a Jaden Hardy does. And so that's why I agree with you. I think he's going to get a little more minutes. Exum, though, how will people's opinions change on Exum?
I think this is the number one answer. Full disclosure, when you sent me this topic, I thought you were meaning like which players. I didn't know you were going to go through each player.
I did everybody.
Yeah. So I like did some homework on like just a couple, and I was like, all right, these are going to be my answers.
And I didn't do the ones that you did.
And you started with Luka at the first segment. I was like, oh, okay, we're going to go through each player and how each individual player. So anyway, Exum was my number one answer.
Somebody didn't listen to Locked On Jazz today because this was his topic, and I got it from him. And
Exum is my number one answer for this. I think because I think there's a firm opinion about him, especially if you didn't watch preseason. It's, this guy was a, former top 10 pick. He has, he didn't work out in the NBA. He has to go over to Europe. Now he's getting this like one little shot here back in the NBA. And it's like, man, I did a whole pod. I think you're out on vacation. I did a whole pod on Dante Exum, and I kind of walked through his career and his career in the NBA and all the injuries and stuff he had. And kind of like, it's kind of a bad how it shook out for him. It's kind of really unlucky. And then he just like up and like, he just goes overseas. And I think this is the chance to really, if there's a player for the Mavericks, and honestly, like a player, I would even go in like one, like in the whole league that could change like opinions about him, because I think the opinion's just firmly set. I think for some of these young guys, the opinion's not set yet. Like even like Hardy, Max Lively, I think the opinion is set on Exum of he's a bust. He had to go overseas. Now he's getting this one last shot. I think he has this opportunity. I think he looked pretty dang good in preseason, that if he can come in and he's getting all this buzz and being this like, man, the shot is fixed. He looks more comfortable on offense. He's getting the ball. He's racing down the floor. He's playing good defense, protecting the rim. Like, I really think that he could change the whole opinion about him. And like, dude, not like, dude, he's top 5 pick, whatever. But okay, he's like a really good role player in the league now. And I think he can do that.
I could see him easily becoming the Mavs' 6th man, like first player off the bench kind of deal. Instead of Tim, you come in with Exum instead. You still get the playmaking and the ball handling that Tim doesn't bring, and you get defense too. And if Exum can shoot it a little, like that's our big thing with him. Can he shoot it? And overseas for the last 2 years, he shot really well in EuroLeague, and he did not shoot well in the NBA before that, or even really shoot that much at all. So if that could change a lot of people's opinions too. Exum's a really good one. That is probably the number one answer on this. Who could change opinions the most? Let us know in the comment section. Which player do you think will change people's opinions of them the most by the end of the season? Let us know in the comment section. We'll be back tomorrow. Practice will happen. So I'll go to practice and I'll tell you what I learned. Subscribe to Subtext to get all the updates there. And then Friday, we got a game. Very excited about that. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.